Hi, Rolf here. I think it's safe to say that we're all concerned about the environment. I wanted to share with you a conversation that I had with a new prospect last week where they had gone ahead with a re-roofing project in 2019 based upon what they thought was good information. They thought they'd done their due diligence to do the right thing. They had a large building that they needed to re-roof, and they did not want to unnecessarily remove the insulation from the old roof if it could be salvaged. They didn't see the purpose in throwing all that insulation away and filling up a landfill. So they had done a roof moisture scan to see how much moisture there was in the roof. The report they got back showed that the entire roof was wet and it needed to be torn off to the deck. Where they were frustrated was when the construction actually went forward, they filled over 300 dumpsters and 95% of the insulation that went off that roof was dry. So that didn't need to go to the landfill. As I said, a little frustrated because of they thought they'd done their due diligence. And the other side benefit of doing those scans is if there's wet insulation, they can go to mold. So for health reasons, you want to get it off. What I wanted to review with you really quickly here today is how roof scans work and how you can make better decisions on which one to use depending on the construction of the roof on your building. So there's three technologies available: infrared, nuclear, and capacitance. They all measure a different attribute of water, but they don't measure water directly. The most common method is infrared. It measures the surface temperature of the roof. Those areas that have wet insulation would read warmer, in simplest terms. To do an infrared scan, you do it after dark. So somebody's on the roof with an infrared camera after dark, looking for the wet areas, the hot spots, or from an aircraft, fixed-wing aircraft, for instance. The advantages of a infrared scan is that they're extremely fast. You can cover many square feet of roofing in a night very quickly, which brings the cost down low. There are limitations on the type of roof systems that it's truly effective at. Ballasted roofs with the big rock, except in special circumstances, don't work well. So remember, we're measuring the surface temperature of the roof. During the day, all of that rock is absorbing the heat of the sun. At night, it's releasing the heat of the sun, and it tends to mask wet insulation below, or to the less experienced thermographer, perhaps they mistake hot rocks with wet insulation, which is apparently what happened in this prospect's case. There's two methodologies that people use. In the summer, we're looking for emission, which is wet insulation that's retained the heat of the day is emitted through the roof. And in the winter, transmission of heat through wet insulation from the building interior to the outside. Basically, the principle is you have one person using an infrared camera, they're scanning across the roof, and you have somebody else with a paint stick marking out the areas out right onto the roof. In the case of my son, this would have been him 20 years ago paying for college. So that's how that works. This is by far the most prevalent method of doing scans. Another method is nuclear. It measures the hydrogen. So water is H2O. It's counting the hydrogen in the water molecules. You do this in the daytime. You lay out a grid on the roof. It's on the roof. It's extremely slow because you're taking a reading at all those grid points across the roof. Because it's so labor intensive, the cost is high. The accuracy is also very high because somebody is methodically going across that roof at regular intervals. The advantage of the nuclear method is that it works on just about every type of roof system that's out there, a conventional flat roof. This is fast, but has limitations on where it works. This is slow, but works just about everywhere. And the third method is capacitance. It measures the dielectric constant of the roof. What does that mean? How easily does a material conduct electricity? So dry roof insulation has a very low dielectric constant. Water has a very high dielectric constant. So the theory is that if you can pass current through that piece of insulation, you found wet stuff. Where it works particularly well is that the closer the water is to the gauge, the more easily it picks it up. So it's not necessarily a reflection of the quantity of moisture in the roof system, but rather how close it is to the top of the roof. Just like nuclear, you lay out a grid pattern, it's done in the daytime, the speed is slow, the cost is high. It also has limitations in the type of roof systems. EPDM, for instance, it's ineffective on because of the carbon black in the EPDM. Where the capacitance method is extremely useful is to use it, in my opinion, in conjunction with nuclear or infrared to find out where moisture is stratified within the roof system. So what happened in this prospect's case is they had an infrared scan done, and it was misinterpreted by the provider into thinking that was wet insulation when it was actually the rock on the roof was retaining heat. So if you want to know more about how these technologies work and how you can help the environment by not filling the landfill and keep your employees safe by getting wet insulation out and helping to remediate mold, let me know. There's only so much we can cover here in 5 minutes. My contact information is in this post if you want to reach out. And don't forget to follow me at #Rolf Snobeck or #Rolftheroofingguy here on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.